that I'm quite excited about today. I hope you are too. And let's get started then. So I'm wearing an upcycled shirt today, one that I have done, one of my husband's old shirts. And you can see what I've done is taken away the collar completely. Collar stand and the collar itself, all taken away. On my sleeve, the cuffs, been taken away as well, but I've left the detail on the back there because I quite like that and I can fold it up when I'm wearing it sometimes so I can use my hands better. That's there. And then the rest of it stays the same. So the idea is today we're going to be doing something similar to this, but not exactly. But this is something you can do yourself. So I thought I would share that with you. One of the things I wanted to ask you all is to take a before and after photograph of what you're going to be working with so that you know where you started and where you do end up. So if you haven't taken a photograph yet, please do that now. And then also, it would be a good idea if you could share with us your upcycled shirt so that we can see what you're doing or whatever you're working on, because I think it's quite exciting to see what you're all coming up with. Okay, brilliant. So I have a shirt ready to upcycle, and what I have done is marked up points that I need to be were my starting point. So if you put your shirt on the table, like I have mine, like this, so take your tape measure and measure, go to the base of your collar stand, which is this part here. This is your collar stand there. So go to the base of it, which is that point there. And then measure 2 centimeters or 1.5 from the collar stand and put a pin in place. So I've got my pin in there, like that. I've got my pin in there. So that's 2 centimeters there. And then go further down, count from the collar stand, you have the first button there. So not the button on the collar stand, it's the button under the collar stand. So you have the 1, 2, 3 buttons. And then when you get to the third button, measure about 4 centimeters from, if you measure from below the button itself, it's 3 centimeters, 3.5 to 3 centimeters. So when you get to that point there, put another pin there. So you have 2 points, you've marked 2 points. So what we're going to do now is separate the bottom half of the shirt from the top half of the shirt. And the way we do this is, we've got this button here. Now I'll explain to you why. I have marked the point there with my pin right there. And the reason why we've done that is that's going to be the point below your breasts, at that point, just above your top of your waistline, basically. Okay, so then flatten your shirt and don't worry, because sometimes we want everything to be so perfect that we just lose sight of the excitement of just doing things. So just fold your shirt like that, flat, spread it out on the table, and then you have your pin right there. You can see all the way to the side seams of the shirt. Now you take your tape measure and you then measure from the top of the shirt there, the collar, the shoulders, basically, shoulders, please. And then all the way down to the same point that you have your pin right there. And that's about 34.5 centimeters. So you mark that point there and mark the same point on the other side. But if you're very good with your eyes and you can actually do this without having to measure from the shoulders, by all means do it, but otherwise just make sure that you've got the right point. And at on the other side where you have your pocket, don't worry about the fact that you might cut into the pocket. That's fine, because eventually that's going to be hemmed and that pocket will still be functional. So that's what we're aiming for, to get to the sides. So go all the way, put your pins all the way to the side of the shirt, like that. And when you've done that, what you then do is take your scissors, make sure that your button, just to be on the safe side, button up your button before and after the point where you're going to be cutting. So that way, you know that you can actually button up you can still use those buttons in a functional way after you've cut through. So then what you do is you take your scissors like that and you cut straight across there. Right, so straight across there like that. And then what I'm going to do now, very quickly, is show you, I don't know if you remember last week, I'm just reminding you what I said we're going to be working on. So we're making a twin set. Can you see that? So it's a top and a bottom. And if you want to take a photograph of this, I'll hold it up for about, I'll just leave it here for a few seconds so you can do that. Okay, great. Now, so we've separated the top from the bottom. And so we'll start work on the top because the bottom is very easy. So this top half is what we're going to be working on now. So now what we're going to do is to separate the collar from the shirt. And we're taking the collar stand as well as the collar itself of the shirt. So you mark a point, you've already marked a point below the collar stand on the front. So we're going to mark a point in the back of the shirt, and that point is 2 centimeters from the collar stand there. And then you put your pin in place like that to mark that point there. And then what you do is on the side, shoulder side of the shirt, where the collar meets the shoulder seam, you mark a point 1 centimeter from the collar stand there like that. And then now, if you want to be, if you're not sure of yourself, just put some pins all the way, creating a carve on from the front of the shirt to the, keep going like that, to the back of the shirt, creating what would be your seam line there. And so what I would ask you to do now is to take your scissors and cut away above the pins that you've put in place, just above them, so you can still use them to guide you, like that. It doesn't have to be neat. The idea is to remove the collar so you can have the freedom to do what else you need to do. So when you get to the center back, what you then do is fold it. It's always good to do this because then you know that everything is identical. So take the pins out of the bottom there that we had before, like that. And then make the connection like this. So once you have your buttons placed where the buttonhole is, so you know that everything is in the right place and those buttons will work, then you put the pins that you've been using to guide you at the top end there, making sure everything else is the same, like that. Check your bottom, check your top, like that, and then put your pins in place. What we're trying to do now is to make them identical, like that. Put your pins all the way to the back. Work better standing. So like that, all the way to the center back. Just making sure that your shoulders are in the same place from the other side. Just check that quickly so you don't cut away too much. So you just make sure that everything is in the right place, like that. Then we're getting ready to cut away. And then take your scissors and cut away the other side now. All the way to the back, like that. And then what we have now is, we take the pins out, and then you can see that what you have now is a collarless top. So the collar's gone, like that. Right, so now that's that first stage done. And then the next thing is to shorten. If you like the sleeves to stay that long, you can keep the sleeves. But I think with something like this, it's always better to shorten the sleeves so the sleeve matches, you know, the fact that it's a crop top, like that. So what you then do is you take your sleeves like that, put them together like this, right? Okay, so once your sleeves are together like that, if you just want to be sure that you have everything working together and laid perfectly well to make sure that it's all identical, put a couple of pins in place so that it doesn't move when you start cutting. Then decide how long you want these sleeves to be. So I'm deciding that I want the sleeves to be about, I think it would be good to have them about 7 inches. So I'm going to make it, okay, centimeters, about 18 centimeters. And then I'm going to add an extra 2 centimeters so that I can actually put a nice hem on there. So then you take your pen and mark the point where you want to cut your sleeve down. So then measure from the bottom part of the sleeve to the point which you want your hem to be, which is 5 centimeters on my shirt. And I'm going to go, because I'm using a short sleeved shirt. If you're using a long sleeved shirt, you're going to have to measure all the way from the bottom, from the cuff of the sleeve to the point where you want to cut away the bottom part of the sleeve. So whatever you've got, you make sure that measurement is the same all along. Right, so once you've done that, then you take your scissors and you cut that away. Right, so now we've got sleeves. And then what we're then going to do now is to so this is what you've got. You know, if you're working with a shorter sleeve like mine, this is what you have. So your top part is ready. So the next thing you're going to be doing is put a hem on the collar part of your sleeve, the top part of your crop top. So this, the neckline basically. And because my shirt has got a couple of extra buttons at that point, I'm going to take those away because I don't need them anymore. And I can then use that work freely without having them in the way. Another thing you might have to do is to take your, so when you take those off, it makes your life so much easier. Like that. So you get rid of those two things there. And then once you've done that, you have the freedom there of being able to turn your shirt twice. So if you take your neckline there and you turn it in twice, so 1 centimeter in, another centimeter in, so that should leave your point there ready for buttoning up. Like that. So one of the other things that I do, and I will share with you, is because of the curve in the neckline there, it's not going to be very easy to have a very thick hem there. So taking less than a centimeter is better. So you turn it in and turn it in again. So it is just about a centimeter fold. So it is half a centimeter and half a centimeter again. That way it's going to be easier for you to, so it's almost like a rolled hem rather than a 2 centimeter double turn. This might be better like this. So depending on how you want to finish it off. But if you're sewing by hand, that's what you do. If you're going to be using a machine to sew this, then you will need to use, you can do it like this, or you can use binding. And what the binding does is, I'll show you this, it allows you to maintain a good curve without, making ugly folds. And so this is, or puckering up. So it just becomes so much easier doing it that way. So you can use binding. So you use the binding, you turn it down and then stitch it down like that. But this is, I don't know if you could see that. Did you see that? It's not easy to see on it's easier to see on with a different color and using a different binding on a different shirt. But if that doesn't work, I think the way I want you to, keep it very simple. Just use the shirt itself to do all the work. So you do a half a centimeter turn and turn again. So that's a double turn of 1 centimeter all the way around. So you can do that by machine or you can do that by hand. And then you do the same for the bottom. The bottom, you can do half a centimeter and half a centimeter again, or you can do a double, do 2 centimeters. Pin it all the way around and stitch that. So that's how you're going to finish that. And then you're going to do the same for your sleeve. Double centimeter, so 1 centimeter and then a centimeter again. So in the end, you'll have this finished off like that, ready to use. So now we're going to go to the bottom half. So the next thing is we have the bottom half of the twin set. So this can be used as a little, skirt that you can wear over your swimming costume if you're going, to the seaside, or you can wear it, around the house, or you can even go out in it because it's quite free and very lovely. You can wear it over shorts if you have shorts that are quite tight fitting. And the only thing we have to do here is do the finish off the top, because if your shirt is like mine, it's got a lovely curve there. I think this is perfect. We don't need to do anything to that. The other thing I wanted to share is an alternative finish for the top. If you don't want to do any hem and want to use it, have it as a raw kind of edge finish feature, all you have to do is do a stitching half a centimeter away from the end of the sleeve. That will stop the fraying, going too far, and then you just leave it and wear it like that. I do a lot of raw edge finishing, and I quite love that look, but that's another thing. So we go to the waistline now, and then what you do is you take the top part of the what is now a skirt, and then you fold it twice, but you have to leave enough room to put we're making a channel basically, so that we can thread through a ribbon that we can then use as our waistline, as our closing detail. That will help us be able to wear this over anything. So what you then do now is you take your pins and then you start. So for this, you can actually use slightly more than you turn half a centimeter in and fold slightly over a centimeter right on top of the buttonhole, not covering it, but just where it starts, so that you still can use that buttonhole to button up your skirt at the front. So this gives you the freedom of having this open. So you do that all the way. You keep going, and don't worry about the fact that it's it's not perfect. That is not, no one is going to notice it, because once you've got your ribbon in there, that's going to be your closing detail. You won't need, that will help you fasten the front of the skirt. You won't really be seeing all of the unevenness, if there's any. The idea is to do this, and then we use the same, you can use a sewing machine to do this, or you can use a hand hemming stitch to do this. And it is something that we used last week on the shirt that we did to the sleeves. So you use the same idea here. I will be sharing on YouTube some videos on how to do some hand sewing that will help with finishing off these things. So we'll let you know where to look. So once you've pinned all of that and come all the way around, that's going to be like this when you do put your threading through. So it ends up something like this. This is what you're aiming for. You're going to end up with the top half of your skirt like this, so that you can actually wear it, and it just creates the gathers that you need like that. So that's what we're aiming for the top part of the skirt. So we'll end up with something like this eventually. Okay, so we got to the end then. So this is a twin set. That's obviously something that you can make in a day. Hand stitching, machine stitching, all of that can work. And then I'm going to share with you what we're going to be doing next week. And this is something that's unisex. It can be for a man or a woman. And it's taking 2 shirts and making 1 shirt. And you still will end up with 2 shirts anyway, but there will be like a mirror image of the other one, but in a different way. So we're just going to be cutting them in half and putting them back together. So this is what we're going to be working on next week. So if you want to save that, so you don't lose the shirt at all, but it just allows you to be able to find another way of putting things together again and creates some dramatic effect. So the idea is to have the colors being totally different. So it can't be 2 white shirts. It's got to be very colorful something and a very plain something. And then when we put them together, you end up with something quite interesting. Would love to see your creations. So please do, if you finish them, do send them to the Creative Dimension Trust, the email that you have, and share with us so we can share them. I think it would be really lovely to kind of know what we're all doing and where we're getting to. It would be really great. Thank you all. It's been really lovely.